This week's game is Hive. So I'll do a quick demo of this and then come back and do a discussion of ideas and inspirations. See you on the other side. And Hive. Basic instructions. Alright.
The object of the game is to surround the queen on all sides, all 6 sides. But it's important to note that they don't all have to be of the same team. As long as the queen can no longer move, then this is a win for black. You may either place a piece or move a piece. You don't have to place your queen first, but your first 2 pieces have to be touching. After that, you can place them anywhere with the exception of the fact that you cannot strand the piece. You cannot do that. You have to be able to connect it somehow. And you can't lay a piece connecting to an opponent's piece after your first piece. Now, I can do something like this, and then the next piece can be something like this, but I also have the opportunity to do this. Instead of placing a piece, I can move a piece. I cannot move this piece 1 space and leave this one stranded. So until such time as I have something else to hold this one in place, I cannot move until I have some way of keeping the colony connected. But I still cannot do this. What I'll need to do is, on my next move, do something like this, and then I'm able to do this. So, alright, so you have to always be connected to the main body of the hive. Pieces are never captured or otherwise removed from the hive. The first player chooses their first piece to start with. It does not have to be the queen, it can be any piece. So we do spider, and grasshopper, and ant, and spider. Now here's the thing. You don't have to put the queen down your first move, second move, third move, but if you haven't done it by the 3rd move, you have to do it for your 4th move. So you have to put it in by your 4th move. You cannot move any pieces unless your queen bee is part of the hive. It's possible for both queens, if we started out the game with these 2 touching, then it's possible to surround both of them. In such a way that both of them are completely surrounded, and therefore both lose. Alright, and some important data on movements. Queens can move only 1 square at a time. So the movements for these characters are as such. The soldier ant can move from one position to any other position around the hive, but not jumping into a space like the hopper. This freedom of movement makes this one of the most valuable pieces. So essentially, this one can move here, 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 any of those spaces. But that's the only list of spaces in this arrangement. It can go all the way up here if there's a whole hive that runs off in that direction, but it can only go to the edges, open spaces. It can't jump into the middle. Now, the spider moves 3 spaces per turn around the hive. No more, no less. So you can only go 1, 2, 3. You do not have the option to go 1, 2. It can move only in a direct path and cannot backtrack on itself and must be in contact with the hive on all 3 positions of its movement. So if it were starting here, I'm not able to go 1, 2. I have to go 1, 2, 3. You can't skip over a place that's hollow. Grasshopper does not move in the conventional way, but jumps from its space to the next unoccupied space along a line. So he starts out there. He's able to jump to the next open space here. And it doesn't matter how long that hive section is, he can jump that whole section. He can also go there, or there, but always in a straight line. And that leaves us with the beetle. The beetle can only move 1 space, but it has the ability to climb up on top of other pieces. And the thing is, once it lands on another piece, it holds it down. So it's best to do it on an opponent's piece if possible. But you basically, at that point, that opponent's piece can't move and acts as if it's part of that. One of the other advantages of the beetle is that you can start out here, 1 turn, and the next turn you're able to drop right into that space. It's one of the few pieces that can actually go into a space in the center that nobody else can reach. And that can become really advantageous when it's the only side open on an opponent's queen. You can get in there and pin everything. So, those are the basic instructions on how to play this game. I know there are some extra bonus pieces you can acquire, different insects with different play rules that go along with them. I'm not sure what they are. I might have to look at them at a future point. But, yeah, so we'll get out here and talk about the ideas and inspirations I get from this.
Alright. Taking a look at Hive for ideas and inspiration. Right off the top of the bat, I'd say this game is pretty simple on rules, and like some simple games like checkers and chess, they do really well with being simple rules that can get lots and lots of replay value from. I'd say I'd probably rate this a 6.2 out of a 6.8. And having said that, the ideas, I mean, I really like the tiles. The tiles are really neat, and the use of a thick, clunky block-like tile, I would like to see more games use that, but that's just an aesthetic appeal for me, I guess. But ideas in play would be something like a cross between like Chinese checkers and shogi, using the insect pieces, and you might have to tweak the movements, but maybe not. It's just a large hexagonal board. You start on a side or in a corner, depending on how you set up the play, and then you can have 2 players, 3 players, upwards of 6 players, and you stack your hive into your corner, and your movements would be to try to get to your opponent's hive and take it over. And the movements of each piece are different from each other. They may be, I don't know if we'd be able to get away with being able to say like the queen only moves 1, but the grasshopper can move all the way across the board if the space is already open. You might have to tweak some of that a little, but the same idea of being able to take, like the beetle and the grasshopper can get up over pieces, but the others can't. And the ant can move around pretty freely, whereas the others have some limitations on their motion. Spider can only move 3, no more, no less. So those kind of movement forcings. I don't know if you have to maintain a link with your entire hive. I guess it depends on how big a hexagonal board you go for. But yeah, I mean, there are ways you have to work out some of the mechanics, but I think it could be a fun way to do it. I can see these being like totems in a game where a character might grant certain abilities from a totem insect or arachnid, and those are used up. I mean, you can only use them so many times before you use them up and you have to acquire another one. perhaps each person in the course of gameplay gets a white set or a black set, and they're allowed to use them in certain circumstances to achieve tasks in a one-on-one combat or a challenge. You have to cross a map, and at certain points in the map there are things like a wall, and spiders might be able to climb a wall better. And so that might be a potential use for using them as totems for granting a character ability. Okay, a game of giant radioactive arachnids and insects attacking a city. So being able to take your giant radioactive bugs and conquer sections of a map through certain actions, a roll or holding that position for a certain period of time. You get to be able to claim sections of the map, and then there are risks to losing your insect or arachnid from damage, and at that point you turn it over and it becomes a white tile and something potential for other people to conquer that tile. Taking, say, in my case I think the ones I have on top are the black ones, so you take one of these, and this is your player character, and that's your marker, and all white tiles are going to be monsters or non-player characters. And you do a sort of a RPG using them as miniature, sort of like miniature gaming. But you build up a little pamphlet of the abilities of a given insect for the player character. The possibility for being able to move across terrain maps at a different rate based on the movement rates in the game here is a way to maybe make an RPG out of it. Okay, make a map of a kitchen, and each player gets a team for their hive, and their goal is to get from the window or the door or whatever, and you have to get to the sugar bowl or the loaf of bread or something that's out there on the counter. And each section of the map may have restrictions on movement that would require better using your insects to get to. So there might be a way that you could use your spider earlier on to get a lead, but it means later on you'll have to travel around a longer way, which if you've saved up your ant for a longer movement range, then maybe, but if you've used your ant to span a distance faster, then you might be taking a hard way around. So building up a map that they have to traverse to get to. And they don't have to remain connected to each other, they just have to be able to get from the door to the item and then carry the item back to the hive. This one's a little different. I see this as almost like a sort of a cross between Settlers of Catan and Risk, where you have competing hives on like a not really a planetary map, but like a backyard map or something, and you're getting resources, but you're also trying to conquer territory over the other hive. I'm not sure how well that would work as a game, but I'm sure there are ways to make it work. Alright, well those are the ideas for this one. Next week is products and services, and I'll see you for that week. Take care.